Friends, family, fans, welcome to another episode of Back 9 Bets. We're shotgunning beers because that's what we do when it's the Waste Management Pheonix Open. Beer number one, we've got 3 outrights, 3 beers to shotgun. Let's go. That was rough, but we made it. We made it. It's a tough intro, a real tough intro. We've got the beer shirt on. This burp button is going to be used profusely today, but that's okay. I'll teach you guys some shotgunning techniques here shortly. You can learn how to bet, learn how to shotgun beers. That's what we pride ourselves on over here. Whew! Feeling good, feeling full. Anyway, welcome to Back 9 Bets, folks. Let's get our thing rolling, yeah? It's episode 49. It's the 3 Keystone called Killers. Oh, yeah. We drink Keystones over here, too. It's a tough time. We've had some minor mishaps, too, because I brought them out the garage in Iowa, which is like freezing cold. Put them in the sink to warm them up, and now it's too warm. So I'm drinking warm beer instead of cold beer. I don't know which one's worse. So that's the situation. Waste Managed WM Pheonix Open. We got a loaded field. It's basically what? Pat Mayo and Jeff calling it the winter major. It might be. It's going to be a fun week. So hopefully yesterday you realized everything is not super kosher when it comes to betting. Things can go south, but that's okay. We figure it out. We move on. Got some fun little tidbit for you here. I've got a lucky bug. This bug right here. So during yesterday's podcast, I'm sitting over here in this chair and I feel something fall into my butt crack. But the podcast professional I am, I kind of just let it fly. I don't know what it was. I didn't think it was an animal. Turns out, half an hour later, 2 hours later, I'm busy typing away and I lean over and I feel something like on the butt cheek. Turns out it's a Christmas beetle. So yes, this is my lucky Christmas beetle. Because right after that, I realized that I'd plugged in the wrong formulas for my model. So that's also been jacked up. So we're on the right track here, folks. We are moving in the right direction. And it's the WM Pheonix Open. What better direction could you be moving in? So yes, feel free to say a word for my lucky bug that fell into my butt crack. It's going to be on my computer screen here for the next while until the dogs eat it or something. So yeah, that's what's cooking. Lucky bug. Got our boy Eric, Sweet Spot DFS in the house. As always, my main man, I love you to bits. Thank you for being here once again. Let's get into some stuff here. It's a Waste Management Pheonix Open. We've got 3 outrights. We've got 4 placements. We've got a matchup. Going to go through a little bit of DFS stuff here too. Got 2 more shotguns to go as well. That's going to be a fun one. So the show is brought to you by rotoballer.com. Go check out rotoballer.com/radio. Get yourself 50% off everything over there. Use code Maniac, another 10% off. Yeah, duh. Go do that stuff right now if you are paying attention. And we've got articles out there. I'm putting out some mean showdown stuff. I'm working on a showdown model that's going to be next level. Working on getting it to show projected ownership for showdown rounds, which is a little tricky thing to do, but we're working on it. At least ballparking those things. Check out all my articles, Spencer's articles, the research station, the whole shebang. Go check it out at rotoballer.com. Thank you to them for sponsoring this wonderful podcast. Now, let's get into some stuff here. It's going to be a fun one, folks. It's going to be a fun one. So we checked what the model looks like yesterday. We know what the settings are. We know exactly where we're lying when it comes to what we're expecting this week. We know we need off the tee. We know we need good approach play, not necessarily as much as we should, typically on tour average, but approach play is still important for me. Around the greens, very important. Putting, kind of important. Bogey avoidance, important. Weighted proximity numbers, going to be from 125 to 200 yards. That's 6 out of 10 shots you're going to find. So we're just going to blow through all of that stuff. We did all that yesterday. We did that so we could drink some beers. That warm beer went down like a freaking razor blade. I tell you what, though, it hurt me like the bets have been hurting me lately. But yeah, we go. So as you can see, we got ourselves Thomas the Tank Engine Tom Kim sitting at number 1 in the model. This guy is very, very difficult to kind of get right because his recent stuff is just fuego. It's so good. The only thing he's really struggling with is distance off the tee, but he leads the field in accuracy and good drives gained. Like, the guy's just a boss. He's just so very good when it comes to keeping it in the fairway, doing that around about like 75% of the time. I mean, you can't go wrong with that, especially when you're that good of an iron player. If you're going to give yourself that many shots from the middle of the fairway, let's go, Tommy. Let's go. Birdie or better percentages, bogey avoidance, second and first in the field, par 5 scoring, 36th, not the best. It's okay. And some of these numbers, who the hell even knows what they are? I've had to doctor a few of them because he was like the best player in the model by a good chunk. So we've kind of watered him down a little bit. I don't think he's a million times better than Rory McIlroy or Jon Rahm. So just putting that out there, but he's not finding that much love out there in the DFS market. 16% owned at $9,100. Tom Kim he's going to find himself a little under-owned here. So first up, we've got Tom Kim, folks. He's going to be your winner this week. 30-1 out there. Go grab it. I don't know if it's there right now. Maybe a 28's out there too. Tom Kim is won twice already on tour. He has done magnificent things. He's played on golf courses that he's never played on before and won on them. So I'm not concerned about course history at this venue. He's done it at events that necessarily haven't been the toughest ones. We saw him finish T3 at the Tournament of Champions, which is a bomb and gouge type thing. You got wide fairways. You can hit it a million miles. Didn't matter for Tom. He lost strokes putting that week and still finished third on a course that was very long. So I'm not concerned about his distance. The guy is just a premier ball striker. Let's rock and roll with that. And we've included a whole bunch of off the tee metrics and a whole bunch of distance mixed in with accuracy and good drives gained on you. So we're not just like tilting the scales for Tom Kim. We've also got Tom Kim he's gonna be the life and blood of this week. Got a top 20 on Tom Kim at FanDuel plus 150. Go grab yourself a Tom Kim top 20 at plus 150. He is finishing inside the top 20 at 54% of the time in 13 starts. He's plus 150. That doesn't make a 54% jump to me. So you should be sitting around about 40-ish% if you're going to bet him at 150, maybe 35, that kind of range. Plus 150 for me at an event like this, yes, it's a bunch of thoroughbreds. I mean, you're going all the way down to Max Homa being the 11th guy in the model. I get it. But also, Tom Kim is here to stay, folks. He is here to stay. And he's going to do some good things for us. So he's number 1 in the model. He's a top 20 at plus 150. He's an outright winner at 30-1. I actually got a 33, which I cashed out. So we are back in business there. And we've got one more bet for Tom Kim before we go down the board here. It is Cam Young. Tom Kim versus Cam Young at plus 108. You're going to give me plus money against Cameron Young. Yes, he might have just come close to winning an event overseas. That's okay. He's coming back to America where he doesn't know how to putt. He's been missing 5-footers like it's his day job. It's been a nightmare for Cameron Young. And he's off the tee matters, but I think you got to have accuracy here, folks. It is a premium. So if you want Cameron Young to play good golf for you and you're going to give us a plus 108 against Tom Kim, hello. Sign us up for Tom Kim against Cameron Young plus 108. I think Tom Kim's finished inside the top 11 in 4 of his last 5 starts. One of them was a win. Cameron Young hasn't finished inside the top 13 in any of his last 5 starts since being on the tour here in the last little while. So that is what we're going with. Tom Kim over Cam Young plus 108. Sign us the hell up. Thomas Kim. There we go. 10 minutes into the pod, talking about Tom Kim, and he's done now. $9,100. Definitely playing him in DraftKings at 16% ownership. I think he's going to do great things this week. He's been our blood and life. So Rory McIlroy coming in next. He was the reason I figured out my model. He was the reason this Christmas Dune bug came in hot and heavy and found himself in a place that nobody wants to find themselves. But it is what it is. So Rory McIlroy, he showed up in the driving accuracy, driving off the tee metrics, way low for me. That was what gave it away. I realized that didn't make sense, so we fixed it, and now we've got a model that makes sense. So the Maniac has been running rogue with a model that's broken. We got one that's working. Rory McIlroy second in the field, $200 cheaper than Jon Rahm, sitting around about the same ownership. And boy, oh boy, is Rory McIlroy something right now. His last 14 starts, top 20s in 80% of them, top 10s in 50% of them, and he's leading the field in strokes gained total coming into the week. Granted, this is across the world. I know he's been playing in Europe, in Dubai, all that stuff, fending off Patrick Reed from winning tournaments. Thank you, Rory. You are our true hero of the golf world. We really appreciate you doing that. Off the tee, fantastic stuff. Great stuff. He's first in the field off the tee, typically fourth in the field off the tee in general. Love to see that from Rory. Dominates the par 5. There's only 3 of those this week, so that's most likely why Tom Kim's sneaking up the board a little bit, because he's missing out on that extra par 5 where he might lose a stroke or 2, but he's also absolutely dominating those lately anyway. I had to doctor that number. So Rory's out here with one of the best weighted proximity numbers as well in the field, sitting at 7th. Absolutely love that about Rory. He's, like we said, the weighted proximity from 125 to 200 is very important. 6 out of 10 shots will be coming from that range this week, folks. Rory McIlroy also plays the best on medium golf courses. He's the longest driver of the golf ball in the field, and we've got Cam Champ in the field, I believe. A lot going on. We love Rory. I don't necessarily have an opinion about who I'm going to play over Rory and Jon Rahm. What we do know is Jon Rahm's playing with Max Homa and Keegan Bradley, so RIP to those guys. I think Rahm's going to absolutely bury them with death stares and grumpiness. So that's what's cooking there. We got Rory McIlroy, though. He's hanging out. He's hanging out doing his thing. And Rory is just second in the model. That's all you have to know. I don't really have an opinion on DFS. I've been grinding away. You make up your own mind there. We got Rory in second. Is at 24% ownership, 25% ownership. Let's see what's cooking. Is he going to be able to succeed at a venue like this where when it's hard? I think I prefer Jon Rahm over Rory McIlroy. They're two very similar golfers. Jon Rahm's playing fantastic golf right now. He's putting lights out. So is Rory. I think I've been fading Jon Rahm the whole time, but he said this golf course is looking firm. It's looking fast. I prefer a Jon Rahm on a faster, firmer golf course versus a more lush, receptive one, because we've had this discussion many times on this podcast that Jon Rahm's wedges are a little bit of a problem. You'll see a few of those this week, but when the course conditions are kind of firm, it kind of helps his spinny wedges kind of get away with it. So I like a Jon Rahm here this week. 11K is kind of spendy, and the T10s are a bit of a problem over the last 15 starts, but that doesn't include all the stuff he's done overseas. This is all on the PGA Tour. So I don't exactly know what's going on there, but we do know that Jon Rahm is a savage, and we like him too. Scooting on down the board, let's take a look at Xander Schauffele, who is just sensational around this venue, folks. He is so very, very good. In fact, he might even be a guy that I'd lean on instead of those other two. You get a salary discount of $800 and $1,000, and you get a very similar product from a Xander Schauffele. He's coming off an injury, but he plays so well around TPC Scottsdale. It is really, really something. And I agree. Rory and Rahm are wonderful on firm and fast. I couldn't disagree. I mean, I think what we've learned, I don't know about Rory. I haven't investigated his wedge stuff in there, but I do agree. It's pretty much a coin flip between those guys. And I think if I were to pick, I'd go with Rahm. I don't know why. He just seems like he's in the groove. He's playing in Pheonix. I don't know about Rory's course history at this venue. I mean, I don't know how many times he's played here, but it's not the best there is. Although he's also a totally different golfer right now. So Xander, though, I like him. Everything about Xander. Recent forms, fourth in the field. Let's go with that. Way to proximity, like just everything about his good drives gained. He's also a pretty good guy off the tee. 28th in the field. That's not necessarily what we're looking for here, but proximity numbers, great. 12th in the field and weighted approach. Love to see that from Xander. And then when it comes to just making bogeys and birdies, he avoids them and makes them at a very nice clip. The model just loves his general all-around game, and the course history is really, really driving his ranking up the ratings here for the model. So he's fourth in the field. He was sitting at like 12-1, 11-1 in the betting market. That was ridiculous. Couldn't get there on a Xander when you got all these other guys that are pretty good and hanging around the same numbers or even better. So that's what's cooking there with Xander. 23% ownership at 10K. That makes a lot of sense. He's going to be a favorite this week. And it's a fun time to be betting in DFS and doing that stuff because we've got so many good golfers. It's not going to be like an overload of ownership to Jon Rahm where he's going to be 35%. We got all these other guys you can pick from. And if you want to get sneaky, could go with a little Tony Finau. What the hell's he doing in the teens there? Tony Finau in the teens. It's something you never see, but it is what it is. So let's keep scooting down here. So many good players. Brian, my man, in the house. Such a tough week for DFS, but love the challenge. Love the hat. Yes, love the hat. I don't know if you saw the shirt either, Brian. It says beer on there. Let's get a nice little. We are dressed to the T here, folks. Beer T-shirts. We shotgunning beers. We're not messing around over here. It's going to be a good rest of the episode. Thanks for tuning in, my brother. So Scotty Scheffler, he's next up. Man, oh man, has Scotty Scheffler been something? He just can't putt. Cannot putt. Look at this. He's sitting at... So Tom Kim, also same situation with the putting. But we know that Tom Kim is much more streaky than Scotty Scheffler. We've seen Tom Kim spike with the putter when he's won those events. He had a monstrosity of an event out at Sony, losing like 5 strokes. That wasn't very good. So we're okay with that. Scotty Scheffler has just been generally bad on the greens. I don't know if we like that. He's not necessarily the best on Bermuda either. But man, oh man, can he score. Makes a ton of birdies still. Par 5 scoring is fantastic. He's around the green game is so silky. The guy's just a freak show. I don't know if I want to lean on him. I don't think he's shown us what he's capable of. But yes, the course history is just... You've got this balance of recent form, course history, thoroughbred guys. Who the hell are we going to pick up top here? That's the thing. So I think if there's an issue with like if there's a toss-up, I'm going with course history. So let's make some solid decisions here. Jon Rahm over Rory McIlroy just because of the course history. Pretty much the same exact players when it comes to the rest of their game. Both of them are just freaks off the tee. And then we'll see what cooks. But course history, love Jon Rahm here. It is what it is. $200 cheap, more expensive. When we want to talk about Scotty and Xander, I find it difficult to believe people are going to be going to Scotty over Xander. Going to get a $300 saving on Xander's price. We know the course history is phenomenal, and his recent form is actually pretty good too. Scotty hasn't been playing that good golf. I don't know if his putter's going to show up. We know Xander's a great putter. Like everything about Xander's game is fantastic. So I'm going to just hide this. I don't even know what that is doing there. It is what it is. So he's scooting along just fine. Let's get to Justin Thomas, because Justin Thomas's recent form is 11th in the field, and we know Justin Thomas is one of the premier players in the field. Yet he's got one of the best course histories here, but his recent form is kind of iffy. What do we do with that? Obviously, he's around the green game is so masterclassy, but the putting, bit of a concern. But the course history here, I think he putts best on these greens for some reason. That's what's cooking with JT. He's $9,800. Going to be under-owned compared to the rest of the folks around him, but that makes a lot of sense because, him and Scotty are kind of not playing too hotty right now. And the same goes for Patrick Cantley, who's also an interesting character this week. Super consistent player, but not necessarily doing his thing lately. He's changed clubs, changed equipment, the whole shebang there. What's Patrick Cantley going to be doing this week with new clubs and stuff? We don't really know. Played good golf here. I think he finished second in the last time he played here, so that's nice to see. He's also 20% owned. So, I mean, between these top 5 guys here sitting outside this range, I don't understand. I don't understand what's going on. I don't understand why they all this price and this ownership. The beers are kicking in, folks. This podcast is going to get fun. So yeah, let's talk about JT a little bit. I skipped over him a bit. Look at this. He's not nearly as consistent as these other guys. He's sitting in the 60s for top 40 rates when everyone's up in the 70s and 80s. He does get into the top 10. So when he plays well, he plays really well. And you got this course history going again. But the putter is a big problem, folks. Now, this course is a ball striker's paradise, apparently. The putting isn't that important, apparently. I don't know. Still, if you're looking for a guy, why would you want to go to JT when you can get Xander, who's, like he's not the best in the world when it comes to proximity numbers from those ranges. Like JT is the best iron player in the field from these ranges that we're going to see, but he just hasn't been playing good golf, and I'm off on JT this week and Cantley. I don't know. I can't get behind either of them. I'd rather go to Tony because Tony is our second outright, folks. Tony Finau is the second outright of the podcast. He's the second of two, and it's going to be a fun one with Tony. So we got ourselves a little pitchfork here, got ourselves a full Keystone. And this is what you do. So you take, when you're doing a shotgun, you always have the tab at the bottom so that this piece is at the top, so that the bubble that you're poking into is at the top of the can over here. Okay, then you poke at the top, right where the bubble is. There we go. See that? Like a little foam. Squirt it around a little bit, get a nice little square hole to drink out of. And then try not to break your finger, cut your finger in half, crack it, and you go. Happy Waste Management Pheonix Open, folks. Let's rock and roll. Let's do this. Tony Finau for the win. Shotgunning beers, shotgunning shots. It's going to be a banger. You are going to have ourselves another Farmers Insurance Open. I'll be rooting for Rahm, and you'll be. I can't do it, man. I think I don't mind Rahm if I'm going high up at the top there. We'll see what's cooking. And now, this is the key information we all tune in for, Raja. You have to have that bubble at the top so that when you squirt it, there's no spraying. That's the key thing. I've done this many, many times in my life, and the speed, I agree. Like I said, Keystones go down like trees for me, folks. But when they're hot, it's not the best. So, Tony Finau, winner, 25-1. He's won 3 times recently. He should have freaking won last week. He's playing with Jon Rahm, decided to lose like 8 strokes through the first 2 rounds. Not entirely sure what he was doing there. Ball struck himself to make the cut, losing 8. I think just watching the broadcast, you couldn't see the shot link, but I think he probably lost 2 to 3 strokes putting on the second day as well. Like the putts he was missing were ridiculous early on. And I think all the birdies he made were because he drove the green or chipped it close or whatever. So the rest of his game was all carrying that. We know that Tony's been putting well. We know he can spike putt. Like, look at this. He's third in the field when it comes to putting. What are we doing? When it comes to Tony Finau from 5 to 15 feet recently, he's been putting well recently. This is like the last 24 rounds. If we take a look at Tony's putting from a baseline from the last 2 years perspective, it's not the best, but we've seen a massive shift in his play. The putting has been sensational. Like he's been gaining strokes in abundance pretty much all the way up to the Farmers when he just crapped it down his leg. So we know he's a great bogey avoider. We know he dominates on par 5s. We know he makes a ton of birdies. Why the hell are we not playing Tony Finau? The approach play is okay inside the top 20 with the weighted stuff, but he's a really good iron player too. Off the tee, he's 13th, plays medium course as well, and he's been putting lights out. Like, look at the last 24 rounds Tony Finau's done. Pretty much everything that matters, total, off the tee, approach, and putting, are all sitting inside the top 7 or 8. Why can't we play a Tony Finau 25-1, folks? And then we're getting a Tony Finau that's 18% owned. I understand his course history is rather abysmal. He's had, I think, 3 missed cuts in the last 4 times he's played. The third time he teed it up, he lost in the playoff. So Tony Finau's stuff isn't terrible. It really isn't. He can play good golf around this venue. And when it comes to Tony Finau playing good golf, and he's sitting under 20% ownership right now, let's go. 10-1, 18% Tony, 25-1 to win the event. Tony Finau all day. Sign me up. It's go time. It really, really is. So I don't see what people don't see about Tony. The accuracy off the tee, whatever, the good drives gained is what matters here. And he's 26th in the field. So let's cook with Tony. I'm okay going to him. I'm totally cool playing him over Xander. I'm totally cool playing him over Scotty, JT, and Cantley. I'm down. I'm down to have Tony in a lot of my lineups, and then Tom Kim, obviously our boy, our golden child, little Tommy the Tank Engine. So Tony Finau, 18%, $10,100. Colin Morikawa is our third shotgun that we cannot do right now. I'm not sure I can survive it. We'll do it at like 33 minutes just because that's a nice number. But talk about Colin for a second, or maybe we'll skip him. And then we do the shotgun. We come back to Colin. How does that sound? Cool. So Colin, remind me if I forget to go back to him, but I can't. I got a warm beer here. We're waiting for it to get to room temperature. So Sungjae Im, 9,200 smacks, sitting here in the 10th in the model. So we only could bet Tom Kim for the top 20s. Everybody else's odds, look at these odds. If you look at FanDuel's odds, they're usually the best in the market for the most part. Rory McIlroy, top 20, minus 220. John Rahm, minus 220. Xander and Scotty, minus 150, minus 170. Can't get to those numbers. Yet they gave us a Tom Kim at plus 150. I love it. I can't go wrong with that. Justin Thomas sitting at plus 105. That tells you what you need to know about how they're viewing him. Now, granted, FanDuel isn't the best telling book out there. They're not the sharpest, I would imagine. I grab some sexy numbers on FanDuel many a time, especially in the placement market. But he's sitting at plus 105. You know, if you're a big course history guy, that makes a lot of sense for JT. But if you're looking at what he's been doing lately, that number is very reflective of what's going on. And the model didn't even kick it out because plus 105 needs to be at like second in order to kick that out as a bet. So JT is a no-go this week. And I agree with the books. I mean, it's an obvious glaring issue that's going on here with Justin Thomas's game. Tony Finau and Colin Morikawa sitting there at minus 120 in the negatives, which is fine. You know, like that's the books are showing them respect. We like to see that from them. Sungjae sitting at the first plus 115 that we've seen here, sitting in 10th the model. That's not going to get it done for a top 20 bet. But what do we like from Sungjae? He's, you know, if you want to, I don't know, if you want to roll out some sort of a balanced build with a few 9K guys, I don't know what my guy at Sweet Spot DFS thinks of that one, but I think, you know, there's some definite leverage to be had in the 9K. Yeah, Sungjae's been playing great golf. He's not a shabby player yet, too. But, you know, the recent form also a little bit of a concern. Plays the medium courses very well, and he just limits the bogeys. And when you think about this venue, you think of Honda, where Sungjae plays well. There's danger off the tee. He's super, super accurate off the tee. And, you know, I think he had a bad Sony. He had one bad hole on number 6 there. I think he was just hacking down a bunch of trees. I'll go to Sungjae a little bit. Why the hell not? He's affordable, going to be lower owned. Let's rock and roll with Sungjae. Don't mind Sungjae at all. Sitting at safety plus T10 in the 100% range, which is still fine by me. Not like the best in the world, but it's okay. We'll take it. You know, like that's what you're looking for a guy that's $9,200 in this field is going to get you some salary savings for sure. So that's what's cooking with Sungjae. Max Homa sitting at 9,900 smackaroos, sitting at 16% ownership. It's interesting. He's been playing fantastic golf. He is a golfer that's played well, once or twice, sitting with the 12th course history. He dominates par fives, the 3 of them he'll do well on. Makes a decent amount of bogeys. But the bogey avoidance for Max, he has these blow-up holes. And I think Max Homa's game, although it has been trending in the right direction, the more water and the more hazards there are, the more doubles he makes. It's just, he's one of those guys. And I think that's very reflective of how he plays. The 47th bogey avoidance rate here in the field is probably due, and this is also over the last 2 years. I know it's most likely much better now in the last little while since he's been playing exceptional golf, but he's also playing with John Rahm. And I have a very weird hunch and a weird suspicion that playing with John Rahm just does not bring out the best in the other golfers playing with him. So Keegan Bradley and Max Homa will be playing with John Rahm this week. I was very curious to see who would be playing with Johnny, and it turns out it's Max and Keegs. Woo. By the way, I've had 2 Keegan Bradley tickets finish second, and Max Homa's won that tournament both times. So that's fun. So, yeah, shout out to my boy Eli, who's had Max Homa both the times, and I've had Keegan. Granted, he had Keegan the other time too. But talk about living life luxuriously. So yes, Max Homer, yeah, just sitting at 16%, 9,900 smacks. Everything you like about him. I mean, how do you make these decisions? I can't even really tell you who I'm going to go to outside of the guys I'm picking for outrights. And even Colin at 24%, you know, but he's finished second and third. So that's what's cooking with Colin there. Let's get a little further down to Cameron Young. Let's talk about him because we have a matchup against him. So his big thing is distance off the tee. If you take a look at these course correlations here, we've got off the tee being 3% more important than tour average over the last 4 years. If you take a look at course, the accuracy off the tee, that's 3% more important than tour average too. The distance is pretty much flat. Now, distance does always help, but it's not key here, I don't think. And that's why I think the model likes Tom Kim. That's basically the thing here. So Cameron Young is a guy that's got that distance off the tee, but weighted proximity numbers, he's 20th in the field. Bogey avoidance rate is 70th. He's been missing 5-footers like crazy lately. He's literally, I think, got the mini yips. Now, when it comes to this venue, I've noticed that the amount of birdie putts and made from 5 to 10 feet is a little less than normal. So a lot more birdie putts are going to be coming from further away. But also scrambling is so important. Like around the green play is critical. And if we take a look at his game around the greens, it's 65th baseline and 85th in general. So his short game is going to be letting him down significantly here. And I don't know how much his distance is really going to play a role at this venue. Is it going to overcome the short game deficiencies he has? And I think that's what the model likes in that Tom Kim matchup, which we have against Cameron Young at plus 108. So Tom Kim against him, that's pretty much the reason. We like Tom Kim's consistency. We like his floor. We feel like it's a lot better than Cameron Young's. Cameron Young's ceiling, most likely, it's not even higher than Tom Kim's. He's won twice, Tom Kim has. Cameron Young can't get into the winner's circle. He's got a problem with the putter. Until he fixes that, we'll see. Now, granted, the way we've been betting, Cameron Young's going to lead the field in putting this week, and I'm going to look like a complete idiot. But that is how it goes. We're going to play the odds, play the numbers, and hopefully wish for the best. Speaking of, we pounced on a Matt Fitzpatrick top 20 last week when DraftKings messed up the odds and put all the players at plus money for a top 20. If you bet Victor Hovland, Jordan Spieth, and Matt Fitzpatrick at plus money, you would have lost money last week. If you just split it up between the three of them, I decided to go all over Fitzy because look at this. Top 20 rate, 69%. 70% of his starts in the last 16 have been top 20s. Then the next day it tells us, oh yeah, well, Matt Fitzpatrick has got a neck injury, and then he went like 7 over par in 5 holes in the wind. So that was me. So I lost 2 units on that top 20 bet. He's 8% owned. I might go back to him just because we are glutton for punishment. What's wrong with Matt Fitzpatrick at $9,000 at a course that isn't going to require a million birdies? Look at this. The par 5 scoring and bogey avoidance for Matty Fitz is one of the best in the field, 3rd and 4th. Can't go wrong with that. And when it comes to the weighted proximity numbers, that's a massive, massive red flag. He's never been that good on approach when it comes to being aggressive and hitting it tight. He's always ground out good scores. Now at this course, when you're only going to have to get to minus 15, I think he can do that. I think he's going to hang around a lot. And if you're going to give me a guy I don't think he's that injured. In all honesty. He just played like shit in the wind, but maybe he is injured. I don't know. But for DFS, if you're giving me a top quality player like this at 8% owned, sign me the hell up. 34 minutes. Done talking about Matty Fitz. We're going to drink our sorrows away. Let's get ourselves some Colin Morikawa here for our final third and final shotgun and final outright discussion of the podcast. Let's rock and roll. Remember, you always want the key at the bottom. You want the bubble at the top. Pop it. Boop. And a pitchfork works wonderfully because you can just shove it in there and then it's got that width and you can just tear the tinfoil quite nicely. So this is to Colin Morikawa winning this goddamn tournament. I know there's a certain guy on Twitter that's also picked him as his like spotlight player that people tend to fade. But enough of that. No bad juju here. Keystones, Christmas Beatles in the butt crack. Everything about this stuff is all good vibes. Let's rock and roll. Colin Morikawa, not top anything, just top 1. He's going to win this goddamn tournament at 25-1. Let's rock and roll. Three Keystone cold killers right there. 3 Keystones on the floor, probably about 5% beer in each of them. Don't want to get my carpet dirty, but the third one went down the smoothest. So Colin Morikawa, folks, sitting at 9,700, mispriced by $1,300 compared to Jon Rahm. He's played better than Jon Rahm in the last 2 events, probably, even though Jon Rahm won one of them. We saw Jon Rahm in the lead in the final group. He's a chaser. He ain't a finisher. Put Jon Rahm behind anybody, he'll take it down. Colin Morikawa suffered the same fate. He was way ahead, had a bit of a meltdown. That's understandable. Finished second still. Last week, finished third. He's gained, in the last 7 rounds on the greens, he's gained 7 strokes. In 7 rounds, he's gained 7 strokes since the New Year's began, since he's got a putting coach. Can't believe you're a professional golfer that's never had a putting coach or a short game coach. What are you doing? And you've won 2 majors already? Anyway, so yeah, he's played great golf recently. The putting thing is fantastic. The weighted proximity numbers are bomb diggity. And as you can see, like, none of his metrics are really kicking out over the last little while. So the model's not necessarily on board with him from a long-term perspective. But if you take a look at these bright pink boxes over here for recent form, it's all you could wish for from a golfer. The around the green and the putting, all I think is it's a major issue for the last 24 rounds. I think if you went I know it's the last 8, which is very minimal, but there's a sizable difference between the last 8 that happened after a break and the last 8 that happened after the last 16, all in concession. So that's what we love about Colin. Second and third in the last 2 starts. One of the best ball strikers in the field. He's one of the best iron players in the field. He's going to keep himself out of danger with that beautiful little left cut, little cutski. I was listening to Joe Idoni and Pat Mayo on Joe's show yesterday, and they were mentioning staying to the right side of this golf course is important. You don't want to miss your shots left. You want to miss your shots right. And I think it's a really important thing. So people that hit cuts, well, their miss should be to the right-hand side of the golf course, which makes a lot of sense because these professionals, yes, they do double cross themselves, but there's definitely a little bit of nuance to miss your bad shots if you're a fader of the golf ball to the right, which is ideally what we're looking for. Yeah. If I start Rahm, I'm pairing him with Morikawa in my DF lineups, so I'm on board. Absolutely, dude. I mean, between the two of them, they've just been showing us exactly what's cooking, and I mean, they've been playing such good golf. They've been playing so well, both ball striking the crap out of it. You don't want to put Tony in there with Rahm. What's wrong with Tony? Is he breaking your buckets there, DFS sweet spot? Because there's 2 10K guys. Colin's sitting at 9,700. Is that big of a difference between Tony at 10-1? I'm curious, especially with Tony putting as well as he has been. Anyway, scooting on down, Corey Connors, $7,700, sitting 14th in the model. Course history, not necessarily the best in the world, but Corey plays okay on medium golf courses. That's his thing. He just ball strikes his way around a venue, doesn't make a million putts. He's one of the worst putters that we've seen inside the top 15 here. And yeah, he's in fact the worst. Then we get down all the way to Russell Henley, who is basically a miniature version of Corey Connors. So we got weighted proximity numbers for Corey that's sitting 13th. That's what you love to see from a guy coming to this kind of venue. That's $7,700, 10% owned. Hello. Corey Connors couldn't quite get there plus 260 for a top 20 on Corey because the top 20 bets kind of cut off here at 15th in the model. And you got to be sitting at close to like plus 350-ish for a top 20 bet if you're sitting over there. Yes. So yeah, sweet spot DFS. You got to go. If you guys are watching and you haven't heard of him, in a field like this, way too much value in the 8 and 9K range, just start with 2 10Ks. Yeah, but it's only $400. I don't see what the difference is there, especially if you're going, but you're playing with Rahm, he's 11K. I guess that's a bit of a different situation. But I agree. I mean, this field is super stacked. The talent goes deep into the 6K, 7K range. I agree with you, and we'll see what cooks. But we are keeping our way down the board here, sitting at 40 minutes in the show. Corey Connors is our first 7K golfer, and I'm kind of liking him this week. The ball striking has been great. He's been playing great golf recently. What do we get around the greens and on the greens is a mystery as always. But he's not a guy that relies on length. He's like a Tom Kim where he's just in the fairways all the time. Good drives gained for Corey Connors is fifth. That's all you can wish for a guy on a course like this. So that's exactly what's cooking. Love him here. I mean, Matty Fitz's good drives gained is sixth in the field. So that's kind of also something that you want to look for here. If you're going to be hitting fairways and greens, the putts will eventually start dropping. So I'm Matty Fitz and Corey Connors, sweet spot. Talk to me about those two guys. Those should be some interesting little pairings in some matchups there for your DFS lineups. Hideki Matsuyama, course history thoroughbred. 10th in the field for course history over the last 4 or 5 years. I can't exactly remember exactly how many years I have in here, but it's 4 or 5, and he's 10th. I think typically he's played fantastic golf here. I don't know if he's even won here before, but he's great, and he's around the green play is phenomenal. Off the tee, major concern for me this week. At $9,400 and 15% owned, off the tee stuff for Hideki has been really bad. He's sitting at 15th here. I mean, he's got Corey Connors ahead of him. He's got Matty Fitz, Cameron Young, Sungjae Im all ahead of him. I understand the course history, but if you missing fairways here, folks, you are dealing with jumping cholas and cactuses and rocks and pebbles, giant rocks that crowds can move for you if they're in the way, like Tiger did there. I'm out. I'm out on Hideki. I can't see it. Look at this top 20 rate. It's only 25%. What are people like? Look at this. If you just look at the rest of the guys around him, and let's sort this by largest to smallest. If you take a look at Hideki, like you can see exactly where he is. Like it's white. It's right over there for top 20 rate. And I know my man DFS Sweet Spot's a big proponent of you got to have guys that finish inside the top 20 regularly in order to win GPPs and stuff. Hideki, yes, he's got that upside, but look at this. He's the only guy sitting in here until you get all the way down to 17th in the model that doesn't fit safety plus top 10 rating of 100% plus. So that's the biggest problem is he's just not consistent enough. And I don't think I can get there on Hideki this week, folks. Cannot get there for Hideki. Yeah, Hideki is a hard decision. Absolutely agree. Let's go down to Tommy Fleetwood. Yeah, we got some Tommy love and a little bit of Tommy hate. Got a Tom Kim outright. We got a Tommy Fleetwood. Let's find this banner here real quick. Got a little Tommy Fleetwood action, folks. Tommy Fleetwood. T40 plus 120 on FanDuel. Go grab yourselves one of those. Take a look at Tommy Fleetwood's top 40 rate. 70%. This guy can scramble eggs with a toothpick. It's a fantastic thing he's got here. He's been playing fantastic golf. He actually recently won down in South Africa, the motherland. I love that golf course he won at. I've played that course a few times when I go on vacation with my fam bam. It's a tough golf course. Tommy Fleetwood around the greens, top 10 in the field recently. Tommy Fleetwood around the greens, the best in the field if you're looking at baseline. This guy's a wizard around the greens, and that is very, if you take a look at these key stats, around the green is 4% more important than we've seen on regular tour stops. So you got to go to Tommy Fleetwood here, folks. I don't see a problem playing Fleetwood this week. I don't see a problem putting him in the top 40 bet. For plus 120, and you're telling me that in the last 13 starts, he's done that 70% of the time? Yes. Let's rock and roll. Tommy Fleetwood. Plays medium golf courses, the 10th best on the field. This is what he does. You don't play Tommy Fleetwood at a birdie fest. You play him when it gets difficult, where you got to scramble for pars, where you got to chip him in. Like this guy's a magician around the greens by the thing there. He's fantastic out the stand. He's a great putter. He's decent on Bermuda. And then his scoring metrics are all very average. So his ball striking is typically what lets him down. The good drives gained is a very big problem. But if you're that good around the greens, the good drives gained doesn't necessarily matter that much because you're still going to be making those pars, I think. The scoring metrics suck for him, but if you're looking at around the green, recent form, and putting, Tommy Fleetwood's got the whole bag of tricks for you. And I love him at $8,100, 7% owned, top 40, plus 120. Sign me the hell up for some Tommy Fleetwood action. Then we get Tom Hoagie, who we're going with some Tom Hoagie hate this week. I can't get behind Tom Hoagie. The model told us to kick him out. So he's sitting right at the same odds as Tommy Fleetwood at plus 120. But if you take a look at Tom Hoagie's, we've got Tommy and Tom. Tom Hoagie's top 40 rate is only 44%. Now, Tom Hoagie is the second best approach player in the field, behind probably what? Tom Kim or Colin Morikawa. Yeah. So we've got Colin, Tom Hoagie, and then Tom Kim, who are the three best approach players in the field. Yet, look at this for Tom Hoagie. His last 24 rounds, he's 119th in this field when it comes to around the green play. We just saw how important that was. And, the around the green play is emphasized even more than normal here. It's just frustrating. I mean, look at this. For a guy that hits his irons this well, to have the 29th best, and I know he's just come from Pebble where it was an absolute bloodbath. But, if you had good around the green game, you're probably going to expect him to play good golf there in Pebble. And he just didn't. The putting it's hit and miss here and there. But the around the green play is fantastic. I mean, the approach play is fantastic. The weighted proximities are fantastic. And he hits, I think because of his approach play, he hits a lot of greens. But the accuracy of the tee for a guy that doesn't necessarily have anything spectacular, it is what it is. So Tom Hoagie, we couldn't really quite get there, but I'll play him in some DFS. Like the guy's got some game on the approach side of things. If you're going to give me a $7,500 guy at 5% owned, sign me up for some Tom Hoagie. I don't know if I'm going to play Russell Henley over Tom Hoagie. I get Russell Henley's stuff. It makes a lot of sense. He's also got some great accuracy and good drives gain and approach play and stuff like that. The birdie or better percentages for Russ is better too. Maybe we play them both. I like both these guys in this range at 7,500 smacks. I'm not entirely sure who's getting all the ownership for these guys in the 7K range. Keegan Bradley looks like he's getting some love. He's playing with John Rahm, so you can pretty much ride him off this week, in my opinion. Keith Mitchell, I mean, what's everyone's hype about Keith Mitchell? I mean, he played well last week, but we saw what happens when he gets in contention. Can't make a single putt. That's what he relies on the most. Off the tee is fantastic. Yes, that's important here, but I don't know. It's interesting to see. So let's keep on going down the board here. Russell Henley doesn't necessarily have too much going on with us. We're definitely going to consider him in some DFS. I'll be on the BetSperts DFS show. I'll have done a bit more analyzing of these ownerships and salaries and things, so we can really get into that, because it's been a crazy week, especially with Pebble ending so late. Shane Lowry, 19th in the model, and he's getting plus money for a top 40, folks. Shane Lowry's finished inside the top 40 in the last 13 starts 77% of the time. And they're going to give us plus 115 on FanDuel for a Shane Lowry top 40. He is one of the best iron players you can find, and it necessarily isn't translating right now, but the guy's pretty good, okay? And yes, the putting has been very, very bad. 60th in the field, not necessarily as bad as Russell Henley's, but look at this. When you get to medium golf courses that you don't have to make a ton of birdies at, Shane Lowry's your guy. He can scramble, and I think he can make putts for par better than he can make putts for birdie. I definitely think that's a thing. I wish we could find putting metrics that would tell us if a putt was made for par or a putt was made for birdie, and we can figure out the different lengths and things, because if you take a look at Shane Lowry, some guys are just scramblers by nature. They're scrappy Irishmen that have these scruffy beards and their teeth always showing. Shane Lowry's one of those guys. He's 8,200 smacks on DraftKings, 8% owned, makes the top 40 77% of the time. What's going on with Shane Lowry? Safety rating sitting at plus 115%. Everything about this makes a lot of sense. Plays medium course as well. Great out of the sand. The chipping or fringe stuff for Shane Lowry is a bit of an issue. You never want to take these for gospel, but that's exactly what's going on here. But look at his bogey avoidance is 13th. So sign us up for Shane Lowry top 40, plus 115. Let's see what can get cooking here. Scooting on down the board. Brian Harman has been playing great golf. The guy's just also safety rating, makes a bunch of cuts. Top 10s, 30%. I mean, you're not going to find a much better top 10 rate in this area. He's sitting at $7,400. This goes to testament of what DFS just said there. You got You got so many good choices to pick from sitting down in the bottom ranges here. So you don't want to necessarily get yourself too clogged up with two 10K guys or things like that. You may want to consider. So, but also if you want to skip a whole 8K range and go to a Brian Harmon that's been doing very similar things to say like a Sungjae Im, can you compare those two guys? I don't know. Cameron Young versus Brian Harmon. I don't know what I'm talking about. I've had 3 shotgun Keystones. This is what we're getting to now. So Brian Harmon, I love him. I mean, look at the safety, everything about his game, the good drives game, the accuracy stuff. He's great out the sand, and he avoids bogeys very nicely too. So everything about his game kind of sets up nicely here for a guy that's $7,400 playing a golf course like this. Keith Mitchell, I'm out on. If he's going to be that high owned, I can't necessarily get behind him. Victor Hovland is also an interesting character. He's had a terrible time at this venue, mostly because he's around the green play has been very shit. 130th in the field if you look at baseline around the green play. But if you look recently, it's 23rd, folks. 23rd. And I don't even know how many rounds that is, but I think if you take a look at his recent performances around the green, it's actually been much better. So Victor's one of these victims. He's a victim. Victor's the victim of my long-term metrics. I think if you take a peek at what matters around the green, you can see he's actually improved there. But the irony is his approach play, not necessarily as good as you'd expect from Victor, who's got one of the best weighted proximity numbers in the field, sitting at 9th over there. He makes a ton of birdies, though, and that's what you like to see, and kind of didn't quite get the job done at Pebble last week, could he? Even when he was in contention and had a good chance at it, couldn't quite get there. Now he's going to a course that he's played profusely bad at many times. So we're going to have to give him a skip. I mean, Alex Noren is the same ownership as him at $7,600, who's got one of the better course histories here. So he's a sneaky little value play if you're looking for a guy with good course history. Putts very well. The bogey avoidance rate's great. I don't know about a DFS play. I mean, the birdie rate is pretty shoddy for a guy that's going to be that high owned. But I think if you can get him into the top 10, top 15, but also he's played well here in court. So something we have to remember is this venue has always been a stop for many people, but this is the first elevated event of the year. So now you've got, holy cow, I think the total official World Golf Rankings points is sitting in the 200s. The last few events we've done have been like 150 and 120. It's double. So we've got all these guys. You got Tom, you got Rory, John, Scotty. Those are like the top 3 guys in the world. Conor Morikawa sitting there. Got Max Homa, Sungjae. Everybody's here. That's what's cooking. So it's going to be important to remember that course history isn't going to be that much of a predictor of success this week, because we've got a whole bunch of better guys playing a golf course that they can easily dismantle. They've got all the games to do that. So just remember that we have to keep scooting down the board here. Victor at $9,300, 11% owned. I don't know. He's an interesting contrarian play because he's obviously got that upside, but the around the green play for me, I think the little recent spike is going to be fine. I think I might go to him a little bit. I'll take him over Sam Burns. I don't know. Sam Burns just doesn't seem like he's got his game figured out. The approach play has been incredibly bad. The off the tee stuff has also been very crap. He putts fantastic on Bermuda, but he's going to be having to make a lot of those putts for par. I don't think a lot of them are going to be for birdie. And, I don't trust Sam Burn off a tight lie. Billy Horschel's a guy that's got very good course history. I mean, I don't know. Does he play well in big events? I guess he won Memorial. But whenever you see Billy Horschel in a major, he's not necessarily doing anything spectacular. He's at 5% owned. Make your own decision there. He's sitting at 25th in the model. Go rock and roll. Jordan Spieth, lost a bet on him last week. Should have had top 10. Finished like 65th at Pebble for the first time in his life. He's missed like the top 40. So that was a disappointing time, and he's just too inconsistent. Sitting at $8,700, 7% owned, Jordan Spieth. We've seen him do some stuff around this golf course. When he hits it into the desert, he can hit it through those jumping cholas, So I don't know. At $8,700, why not take a gamble on some Jordan Spieth from a game theory perspective, from an upside perspective? We've seen what he can get up to. We know he's one of the best around the greens. Recently, he hasn't been too good, though. Like nothing about his game apart from par 5 scoring is looking like you want to bet that kind of stuff. Matt Kuchar. Let's talk about Matt Kuchar. I'm going to get involved with Matt Kuchar this week for sure. $7,300. Look at this course history. The around the green play is fantastic. Typically, very, very good. This is what this guy's going to do. He's going to good drive golf this place to death. He's going to just be down the middle of the fairway, nothing too crazy. He played very nicely at the Sony. He should have had a much better finish than he did. He bogeyed the first 3 holes of like the front 9. Finished T7 after doing that. When we saw all those studs, Tom Kim, Sung Jae, all of them just missed the cut. Matt Kuchar finished inside the top 10, did his thing. Course history, phenomenal. If you take a look at Matt Kuchar's course history at this venue, fantastic. Going to give me a 2% owned Matt Kuchar. He's the ultimate competitor. He plays ping pong. He'd whip my ass. He'd whip your ass. He'd whip JT's ass at ping pong. The guy's just this old school thoroughbred gangster. It's great to see him do his thing. Great course history. You can understand why the course fit makes a lot of sense. The approach play was actually trending in a very good direction prior to going to Pebble. This is why I didn't want to have recent form from Pebble in the numbers, because I think that was an absolute crapshoot. But Matt Kuchar, man, oh man, $7,300, 2% owned for a guy, and you play Matt Kuchar. If you think about Kuchar at the Valspar, you think about Kuchar at the Sony, you think about Kuchar at all these golf courses that he, like Harbour Town, I think, one of them. When Matt Kuchar has good course history at a golf course, you play Matt Kuchar, folks. This is going to be one of my favorite plays this week. $7,300, 2% owned. If I had another Keystone yard shotgun one just for Matt Kuchar, I love him here this week. Absolutely love him. Look at this top 40 rate, 47% for a $7,300 owned guy. And we go into a golf course that we know he's going to succeed at. Excel at, succeed, succel. That thing. Around the green play, second in the field. That's going to guarantee you pars like crazy. Look at this bogey avoidance. It's 6th in the field, folks. Hello, Matt Kuchar. Sign us up. We're going to be playing a lot. We're going to get to Brendan Steele here shortly. He's sitting here right before Adam Svensson. Adam Svensson's going to be one of our last bets, so we got to get to him at some point. Keegan Bradley playing with John Rahm. I'm a sucker for Keegan Bradley. I mean, he's been playing fantastic golf. I'm not entirely sure why he's grading out this poorly for me in this week, but it must be to do with just the fact that he can't get it around the greens. You know, the course history are not necessarily the best, because that's probably the case. But man, oh man, he's been playing some good golf. Almost had him take down Torrey, boys. Oh, it was so close. Max Homer did me dirty again. It is what it is. So out of the sand, Keegan's not necessarily very good at all. Off the tee, though, very nice stuff. I don't know what I'm just talking about, but $7,700, Keegan Bradley. Think about it. Johnny Vegas, in his last 16 starts, hasn't finished inside the top 10. I don't know if you want to roster a guy like that, even though he is $6,700. Going into a course like this, the course history is not too shabby for Johnny, but look at this. The short game, no bueno. You know, like, is he going to, you know, he's not even that good on medium courses. So no Johnny Vegas for me. I don't know why he's grading out this. What's causing him to grade out this well? Just general approach play for Johnny Vegas is 14th. But if you look at the weighted proximity numbers, not so hot for Johnny. So going to give him a skip. The par 5 scoring is probably his best attribute if you're looking from a scoring rating. Is what it is. JT Poston, course history, 16th in the field. And I think people like a course history JT Poston. He's basically the same as Matt Kuchar. If you've got a good JT Poston course history, you play him. But not everyone's playing Matt Kuchar. So we'll play Matt Kuchar over JT Poston for shizzles. Absolutely going to go there. Let's keep on scooting down. Adam Hadwin. What is this guy doing? Every time I play him, he just sucks it up. Every time I don't, he plays well. Approach and putting. Great stuff. Around the green, not so hot right now. But typically, he's very good around the green. So I guess the last time I played him, he must have sucked it up around the greens. That's just how it goes. Great putter, great approach player. Off the tee is not so good. The distance is a bit of a lacking thing there for Adam Hadwin. Guess what? He's 22nd and 37th in accuracy and good drives gained. That plays a big role this week. I think you have to remember getting your stuff in the fairway at this golf course with the jumping cholas. I love saying jumping cholas. Have you seen those things? You'll just be walking by the bush and the next thing, bam! You just get whacked by a freaking mobile cactus. It's nasty stuff, and those things get into you. So you want to avoid the jumping cholas for sure. Grade out the sand, the fringe stuff. Maybe that's the problem. Seems to struggle when it comes to tight lies. this golf course is going to have a lot of collection areas, which are very important to remember because that's the defense here. It's bunkers and tight lies. I don't think you're going to have too many rough shots. It's desert golf. That's what these guys do at this venue. The course marshal set it up so that it's a very nice, like desert style golf course. The collection areas is what they do. So Adam Hadwin at 7,100, if you want to take a gamble around the greens, around the greens can spike a lot more than you can see from approaching off the tee stuff. So we'll see what Adam Hadwin gets. Tyrrell Hatton's on the blacklist for me. Back 9 bets blacklist. I've lost over 10 units betting him. Can't get to him at 84. I'm out on Tyrrell. Just look at this. Everything about his game sounds like it's amazing, but he just finishes inside the top 40 a lot. He just never, ever can get himself inside the top 20s. I mean, we'll just look at Taylor Montgomery. He finishes inside the top 20 as much as he does inside the top 40. Yeah. So Taylor Montgomery in his 10 starts so far has finished, when he's finished T20 or when he's finished T40, it's been a T20. Tyrrell Hatton, it's only half the time. When he finishes T40, it's half the time it's only a T20. So he's just got no upside. I don't think the guy can do it. I don't think desert golf courses work for him that much. I know he plays well at whatchamacallit out in Dubai, but that is what it is. We're going to leave Tyrrell alone. Brendan Steele, my main man, Brian, said, I'm a sucker for Brendan Steele, but man, those putting and short game stats. Oof, duh. Absolutely. I know, dude. Let's take a look at Brendan Steele. Yeah. Brendan Steele, $7,200. And then the same thing as Johnny Vegas, the same thing as Gary Woodland. Because you've got these premium ball strikers that just cannot get it together around and on the greens. Even though Brendan Steele, medium golf courses, he tends to do okay. We saw him play very nicely at Torrey 2 weeks ago. Why not? $7,200, 6%. The top 10 thing, though, for Brendan, 5%. It's like, if you want to take a look at like someone like, I don't know. That's the thing. Like, where's the upside with Brendan? He's only finishing inside in 20 rounds. He's only finished inside the top 20, 15% of the time. So that's like what? Only three in the last 20 he's finished inside the top 20. Yeah. So I don't know. Brendan Steele, don't be a sucker for him, Brian. Get away from him. Go play Brian Harmon. He's had 4 top 10s at this event, but I can't live in the past. I know. Stop living in the past. Live in the future. Brendan Steele, I don't know. But he played very nicely at Torrey. You make that decision. The course history, it is what it is. So let's scoot on down. Gary Woodland, can't do him with, holy shit, Gary. What are you doing, bro? Get it together. Can't play Gary Woodland with those kind of around the green stats. Adam Svensson, we finally made it to our final bet of the night. By the way, I don't remember I mentioned this at the beginning of the show. If you have been watching for as long as you want and you want a premium Rotoballer subscription for 1 or 2 months, depends how happy they're feeling when I send off the email, but at least 1 free month of premium Rotoballer. If you comment in the video after the show and let me know what your favorite bet was of the show, I'll hook you up with a free Rotoballer premium subscription for 1 lucky commenter. It's a very random promo, but feel free to do that. Get yourself some premium rotoballer.com stuff. Check out all our articles over there. Me and Spencer and Joe absolutely crushing it right now. Although my bets need to get a little bit better, but we fixed the model, so we're going to go there. Speaking of bets, Adam Svensson, top 40, plus 250. So this is why I couldn't quite get behind Tom Hoge. Adam Svensson sitting at a top 40 rate. And now this doesn't necessarily adjust for course difficulty or strength of field or whatever, but he's finished inside the top 40 39% of the time. Tom Hoge's done it 44% of the time. He's finished inside the top 40. Plus 120 for Tom Hoge, plus 250 for Adam Svensson. You're going to give me the same top 40 percentage rate? He's done it in 28 starts. He's done 40% of the top 40s. I feel like this golf course really suits his game. He isn't necessarily the best putter either, but he makes a bunches of birdies, and he's pretty good from 5 to 15 feet. It's the short putts that absolutely suck Adam Svensson's life out of him. So that's his biggest issue. He's also not the best fringe putter. He's not the best fringe player, but he's very good out the sand. So hopefully he's just aiming for sand instead of the collection areas, and he'll be okay. His iron play is 17th in the field, folks, when it comes to weighted proximities for Adam Svensson. He's an absolute assassin when it comes from 125 to 200 yards out. So Adam Svensson's the guy I'm looking to play at $6,500 2% owned. I'm going to be playing him. If you take a look at his medium course scoring, 40th in the field, the guy's a recent winner. I think that's finally subsided now. He can go back to just living a normal life. I'm looking forward to playing some Adam Svensson this week. Top 40, definitely. And yes, gently touch the tip of that thumb, folks. I really appreciate that. I don't really ask too much for likes and subscribes. I feel like if you enjoy what you're watching, you're definitely going to be doing that anyway. But here we are begging for likes and subscriptions. So please, if you are here and doing that, I would not mind it at all. It goes a long way. So thank you very much for saying that. Let's talk about Sahith Theegala and Taylor Montgomery. We're kind of rounding out the show here. There's so many good guys to talk about. Got my boy Emiliano Grillo all the way down here, sitting at 54th. So Montgomery, holy cow. I'm down. If he's going to be under 10% owned in $8,300 or round about 10% owned, give me this safety. Holy safetiness. This guy, and the reason his ranking is sitting at 39th in the model is because the weighted proximity numbers are 129th. The good drives gained are 125th. But when it comes to just scoring, this guy does it, man. And I don't know why that number doesn't necessarily seem that right, because this guy's just been cranking out top 20s. It's been a thing of beauty. The putting has been fantastic for him, and I don't know why the stuff isn't grading out. Like, this is true strokes gain that I pulled in from Data Golf. So maybe the strength of field hasn't been that fantastic when Taylor Montgomery's been playing, but in the last 10 rounds he's played, he's finished inside the top 27 times. So that's what you're getting from Taylor Montgomery. When it comes to just a normal strokes gain perspective, he's the best putter in the field. He's the best putter in the field from 5 to 15 feet. And he's also the best putter on Bermuda, obviously. He makes a crap ton of birdies, avoids bogeys very nicely. Let's rock and roll, dude. $8,300. Taylor Montgomery giving us a very great safety plus top 10 rating. Finished inside the top 10 in 3 out of his 10 starts so far. Yes, they were at the 40 net, things like that. This is going to be a different field. He's $8,300. I think that's a good value for Taylor Montgomery. I would prefer him over Sahith Theegala. I know that Sahith's got a much higher, upside, so to speak. I think he's been in contention a lot more than Taylor Montgomery. I don't think Taylor Montgomery, I've said this about him a lot. He's an elite golfer, but I don't think he's an elite contender. When it comes to Taylor Montgomery, I was looking at his Korn Ferry stuff. Whenever he's in contention, there's a blow up round. Whenever he was undeniably the best Korn Ferry Tour graduate and he never even won a tournament. He had the best strokes gain total. He was just consistently just chugging away, but he just can't win a golf tournament. So if you're going to be betting Taylor Montgomery or playing him in DFS, you got to remember, this is the situation you're dealing with. You're most likely not going to be getting a win, but there'll be a top 10 or a top 20. And that's what you're looking for from a guy like this. I mean, the medium course scoring for him, he plays so good on tough golf courses. So, yeah, I think so too. Monty, a great DFS player than a real golfer, I think. Yes, Brian, I agree. I think that's the case. So I'm never going to bet Taylor Montgomery outright ever. I don't think he ever wins a golf tournament. I don't think he's got the mental, intestinal fortitude, to quote Paul Azinger. I don't think he's got that. But I do think he has the game to contend for top 10s and top 20s on a regular and repeated basis. Matthew Neesmith is also another guy. Look at this. His recent form has been fantastic. The approach play has been great. He's also kind of tidy around the greens recently. The sand play is typically not his strongest suit, but he's a great approach player in general. At $6,600, sign me up for some Matthew Neesmith. And then we're going to go to one of my sugar daddy kryptonites, Mark freaking Hubbard. Oh, Jesus. Here we go again on the Mark Hubbard train. Nothing about his recent form has been great, and I've been on him pretty much every single one of these rounds, folks. So the pain has been real on the Mark Hubbard train, but you go to a course that he has found immense success at. 15th in course history here for Mark Hubbard, and it makes a lot of sense. He's weighted proximity numbers. He's a really good approach player. We finally saw him come together when it came to Pebble last week. I think he played a bit better golf. He kind of let loose in the weird wind and everything like that. I think he's finally got back his competitive juices. I think his daughter dropped the laptop on his toe, had to have toe surgery, and also he dropped the laptop and his daughter dropped the knife. He's had a laptop and a knife, I think, impale his foot in 2 separate occasions in the last 3 months or so. So this is what Mark Hubbard's been dealing with. I think he's going to overcome that at some point. It might have happened at Pebble. We can build on that momentum and see what happens this week. He plays great around this golf course. He's a very cheap salary saver. I'm a big believer in Mark Hubbard. He's a really goofy dude. He's a great follow. He's interacted with me on Twitter. Can't go wrong with a guy like that. 2%, $6,300. Sign me up. Let's go. Look at this. Medium golf course scoring, 29th in the field. The guy that's $6,300, almost min price. What's going on? And then Brendan Todd, folks. This guy's also, look at this, course history and recent form, all lining up beautifully. The off the tee stuff is a big issue because he doesn't have distance. I'm not concerned. He's one of the most accurate golfers in the field. Almost won at Pebble. He's been rattling off great finishes. I haven't included Pebble in any of my stuff because I don't want that to skew any data. So none of that is included yet, but he would have had another top 10 if you add that to the mix. So just Brendan Todd's game has been doing very nicely. Look at this, 5 to 15 feet. He's third best in the field. The Bermuda putting is 7th. Bogey avoidance is 31st. We're going to a golf course that you require bogey avoidance, not so many birdies as a birdie fest would require. And Brendan Todd's just sitting at $7,100, 3% owned. Sign us the hell up. I don't know. I'm starting to run out of juice here. Aaron Wise is he's got one of the worst course histories at this venue. Go take a look at what Aaron Wise has done at TPC Scottsdale, and your mind will be blown. I don't understand how or why, but that's just the case. Jason Day, I don't know. I'm kind of just talking a bunch of nonsense here. $6,800. I'm a big fan of Hayden Buckley. If you're going to a course that requires accuracy and distance, well, not accuracy and distance, but just a good driver of the golf ball, Hayden Buckley is the 4th best in good drives gained this week. Love to see that from him. He just finished, just missed out on a win at Sony, then didn't quite follow it up with great performances, but we've seen some good stuff from him. Justin Lowe is another guy that I'm always just going to be playing in general. I'm just throwing out some random names. Good putter, good iron player. The around the green play for him, big concern. I'm okay just hoping for a good week around the greens for Justin Lowe at 0% ownership. Look at this. He's finished inside the top 10, 12% of his 25 starts. So he's definitely got that upside. Denny McCarthy's been playing better. Saw what he did at Pebble, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, I haven't really dived into too many of these other guys. We got outrights. Tom Kim, 30-1. Colin Morikawa, 25-1. Tony Finau, 25-1. Tom Kim, plus 150 for a top 20. We got Tommy Fleetwood, plus 120 for a top 40. Shane Lowry, plus 115 for a top 40. And then we got our little gem, plus 250 for Adam Svensson to finish inside the top 40. He's done that about 40% of his starts. I love this golf course. I love what his weighted proximity numbers look like here. Let's sign up some Adam Svensson. Phoebe believes in him too. I like what's going on there. And then our final bet of the day is Tom Kim over Cameron Young, plus 108 on FanDuel. So that's what's cooking, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to smash that little like button there. I've got 9 of you in the chat. This is the most I've ever seen anyone in the chat. So we are cooking with gas here on Back 9 Bets. Thank you for tuning in. Tomorrow I've got DFS Golf that I'll be chatting with BetSperts Golf there on their BetSperts YouTube channel. So check that out around about, I think, 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock Eastern. And yeah, this is always Monday, Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Central, 7 Eastern is when I do Back 9 Bets. Go check out all my stuff I do for Rotoballer. Go check out my Model Maniac stuff there on Twitter at the Model Maniac. And man, oh man, it's good to hang out with you guys tonight. Thank you for joining. And let's have ourselves a freaking week. It's going to be a good one. Smash a few beers. Have a good weekend, folks. And we'll catch you guys next week. Let's go.